Good afternoon and welcome to today's video. My name is Reverend Alicia Leslie and today we are looking at Holy Week and facing the Pharisees. This is a part of my series on embracing change and the changes we can make, especially during Holy Week, if we look at the word holy as meaning whole and with integrity. That's our goal, to become whole, right? And this is an important step on that way. If you would like to see more of my videos, you can go to YouTube and look under Mundane Mystic, Alicia Leslie, and you will get to my channel where there's all kinds of videos on different topics of metaphysics and some services and stuff like that. So I look forward to maybe seeing you again. Also feel free to like the video. It's a good thing. So we're going to get started today, as we start all of our videos, with the National Day Calendar that highlights important days. But before we get to the National Day Calendar, I want to share that today is a very important day in my life. It is the 30th birthday of my oldest grandson, Mark. And I gotta tell you something. There was a long time when Marky and I did not get along in his younger days. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. We are more alike than you would believe. And hang on a minute, I just got to get rid of the interruption. Okay, sorry about that. So we're celebrating his 30th. I don't know how he got to be 30 because now he's older than I am. I don't know. You go figure it out. It is also, and I had to work on pronouncing this word. We are getting into the National Day Calendar. And as we do these things, we're going to even learn about ways that we can focus on our wholeness through the days we celebrate. Today is National Buccaneers Day. National Buccaneers Day. What is that, you're wondering? Well, today is the day we recognize the sacrifices of the Puerto Rican regiment of the Volunteer Infantry. Now, today they are, I am so sorry, I don't know what is up with that. And let me just get rid of it again. Okay, sorry about that. Maybe I'll just turn the volume all the way down. Okay, so I wanted to bring this up especially because of our days of division where people, pigeonhole other people and call them names and disregard who they are. I think it's very important to remember our oneness. And we don't think about during different war experiences and everything that the Puerto Ricans were there fighting with us. No, people would rather make racial slurs at them. And we have to remember, I know it's Buccaneers Day, but we have to also remember the Tuskegee Airmen, which was the black fighters, the Air Force. So let's all be one. And so today, let's celebrate the Buccaneers and Buccaneers. And you can actually look up the documentary. There's a documentary on it. So you can learn more about that yourself. Now, it's also National Scrabble Day. I like Scrabble. The only problem is I don't play it well. It's not that I can't. It's that I get so focused on making big words, I don't pay any attention to whether they're double or triple word scores or anything. But I always try to do something from the National Day Calendar to help me improve myself. So I found there's a program on our computers, well, out there in cyberspace, where you can, it's called Scrabble Blast, and you can play solitaire Scrabble. Maybe that'll teach me. I did try it a little bit already. I have to do it more. And of course, I think a relative of that Scrabble in a different way would be Wordle, which I swore I would never play. I would not get involved in that. So my grandson's, my great-grandson's grandmother kind of turned me on. She said, oh, you really ought to play Wordle. So guess who plays Wordle once a day? They only give you one day, thank God. That's another important day today, and it is an important day for achieving our wholeness, body, mind, spirit, and that is, it is National Make Lunch Count Day. What it tells us is we have to remember the importance of lunch. Why? We step back from everything. I am so sorry. I have to take this because apparently they're not going to stop. Hey, I'm doing my video. Okay, thank you. Bye. Sorry. Work call. It's back to camping season. Okay, so we're going to go back to Make Lunch Count Day. And what just happened is an example of it. I should have reminded my sister I was doing the video today. But we don't take time apart and honor that time. One of the things about Make Lunch Count is to get away from your desk. Get away from your desk, get away, go outside, go out to lunch and spend time. I love going out to lunch. Now, for those who aren't aware, going out to lunch is a little cheaper than going out to supper. I'm very prudent with my finances, and I'd rather go out to a really nice place once a month than go out a lot to, you know, cheap run in, run out. I like to make lunch count. And I invite you to make lunch count. It's good for your body. It's good for your mind. It's good for your soul. Stop, eat, relax, enjoy. It's the least you can do for yourself. You can even pray and add a little bit of boost to it. Okay, well, that is our National Day calendar, and now we're getting into today's Holy Week message for facing the Pharisees. Now, in his ministry and when he got into Jerusalem in Holy Week, the Pharisees were always after him. They were always trying to trip him up, and yet, I love it because he was very good at putting them in their place. Now, the Pharisees, you can't knock them. They were trying, but what they were doing is they were the makers and the enforcers of the laws. You know, like it's not good enough that God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, which then grew to be 601 commandments. And the people, especially the Pharisees, really believed that if every single person followed every single law just once, one day, there would be this quantum change of consciousness. Well, I guess we're not there yet. It's been a couple thousand years. But the problem was, and the reason that Jesus was always having it out with the Pharisees, is they enforced the letter of the law, whereas he came to bring the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law is the understanding. The law is the what, the spirit is the why. Do you ever go around and say, well, why do we have to do that? Or why do we have to do that? I'll give you a good example. Why do we have to obey the speed limit? It's not about the police Pharisees holding us accountable and meeting their what do you call it? Their, when they had a certain amount, like their quota. Okay, so not about them making their quota of making arrests. It's basically for the good of the whole. It's basically to keep us safe. because the studies they did showed this is the maximum speed that you should travel on this road. And I travel on a really dangerous piece of road every time I go to Middletown. Now, it looks like a country road, but I have been passed in the no passing zone when I'm doing the speed limit or maybe 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I have had people pass me and, almost crash because they just couldn't wait. They couldn't even go the speed limit. Well, if they crash their car, whose fault is it? Who is at cause? It is not the law. So the law wasn't there just to be enforced to make us miserable. It is there for the highest good of everybody. Many accidents where people cross out of the lane in an area that is not safe, they wind up crashing and very often, killing innocent people. Now, the Pharisees lacked the understanding of the law. They only knew the letter, and that's what they were enforcing. And that is what the Apostle Paul loved to do. His name was Saul at the time. And he loved it. He was an enforcer of the law. He was holding those Christians to task, those Christians. Just so in case you didn't know it, Christian was like a racial slur back then. One of them Christians. Times change, things change. But Jesus called them hypocrites because they were putting a burden on people that was unnecessary. It was beyond the basic commandments that were given to Moses. And on the other hand, we have our fault in it too, because most of us don't like to be confined by rules and laws. And if we don't have an understanding, the why about the what, we will keep consciously or unconsciously breaking spiritual law, which is spiritual principle, which is the law of cause and effect. So we're going to bring effects into our lives that we wish we didn't. And then we go, why is this happening to me again? So Jesus had to face the Pharisees and to look at them and to teach them what the spirit of the law was. He'd say things, you might not think Jesus had a sense of humor, but he did. He'd say things like, why do you spend so much time washing the outside of the cup and not the inside of the cup, which is the part that needs to be done? Now, what's the metaphysical meaning of that? Why do you worry about appearances when inside there's something that needs to be cleansed, right? We all, if we follow spiritual principle, follow the law, not the what, but the why. Right now, our country has gone flipping bananas with laws, with making laws that have letter and no spirit. They had to come up with a law called the Crown Act so that people of color could wear their hair natural. Now, I think if your hair is clean and it's not blocking anybody's vision, I've seen some mighty big hair. And that doesn't have to be people of color hair, even those way poofed out and the beehives and all that kind of crazy hair. And, your hair had to stand like this tall at one time, and all it was knotted stuff smoothed over with the hair on the top. But why are we spending our time on such foolishness, on such stupid rules that a person cannot wear their hair a certain way? I mean, if it's dirty and it's got spiders in it, oh, that was the conspiracy theory of the days of the beehive, where you teased up your hair and twisted it up and made this thing. And people said that you'd put all this hairspray on it, and at night you'd cover it up and go to bed. And they said that, you know, if you're not careful, that a spider, this certain spider, they swore it was true, got in through to a lady's beehive and laid eggs in the scalp, and then the spiders hatched and they got into her brain. Well, that sounds pretty stupid, right? Have you heard a few interesting conspiracy theories lately? Okay. When you try to make laws and make truth what is not true, you're being a Pharisee. We have to understand that laws are there to be obeyed when they're written for our highest good. We want to understand the letter of the law. Look at the people. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with somebody about this today with the seatbelt. People I know and love will not wear a seatbelt. But when I'm in the car with them, put on that seatbelt. You may not realize it, but if you're in an accident and that car gets T-boned by somebody else, your body becomes a projectile. And if it's heading toward me, it can kill me, and I'm wearing my seatbelt like I'm supposed to. That is the why of the law, okay? When you just take the 10 Commandments, all right? And see how they would be different if people understood the heart. For example, you shall honor the Sabbath day. You mean God's telling me I got to go to church and I got to do this and I got to do that? I don't know how to tell you this, but the Sabbath, which we'll be discussing on another day, is a day of rest and reflection. Could you imagine if we had a day every week for nothing but rest and reflection? The Pharisees may tell you that you may do no work. I understand in some very orthodox homes, the women would measure out how much toilet paper would be needed. They would do that on Friday night, so they'd measure out individual portions of toilet paper and fold it up so that nobody would have to actually roll the toilet paper roll when they were using the bathroom on the Sabbath, which was from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That is extreme. We got a lot of extreme laws trying to be made right now. There's people that are trying to make laws that if you're in line and you're waiting to vote and you're getting thirsty because it's a nasty hot day, nobody can give you water. Did you know that? Did you know that one of the laws says you can't have someone stand in your place if you're in a long line so you can go to the bathroom? Is that Pharisaical or is it spiritual? In order to face the Pharisees, we must look at what is right for the good of the whole. Have you ever heard of a sundown town? This was way back in the 50s when people of color were not allowed to be out after sundown. If they were out after sundown, they could be arrested. If you want to know more about that, there are 2 versions of a movie called The Green Book. One is a wonderful commercial movie, and the other is a documentary. Look at the insane rules that Pharisaical people, see, the Pharisees were about controlling the people. The heart, the spirit of law is about blessing the people. You may have to abide in common rules for the common good, but that's to bless the common good. Pharisaical rules were imposed. Here's a very important difference. It's the difference between, I do not believe this. Hang on a minute, I gotta hang that up. You know, if you watch my videos, I never get interruptions like this. Anyway, Okay, let's get back to where we were. Oh, the thing about the Pharisees and the letter and the spirit of the law are that one is about force and the other is about power. We have within us power. We are powerful spiritual beings. And so when someone tries to force something on you, you'll never change. It's like someone trying to convert you by force. Even when in my younger days, I was in the Catholic Church, when I got married, should you marry someone that was not Catholic, you had to, promise that you were going to raise the children to be Catholic. So that's the only way you could get married. Jewish people and Christians were not allowed to get married. Jewish people had to marry in their own faith. So those are different kinds of laws that were enforced. But by spirit, what's most important is not whether one is Jewish and one is Christian, is that the two people that want to get married have shared core values. It's not about the name of their religion. It is about their basic core values. Can you imagine the marriages that wouldn't fall apart? What about that one about you shall not commit adultery? If no one ever cheated, chances are there'd be a lot more stronger marriages out there. But again, it's about the good of the whole. Let's say in this case, the good of the family, not the good of the individual ego. So who or what are your Pharisees? Do you practice force or power? What about with your children? Do you help them to understand the reason for household rules? Or do you just say, I said it because I said so? Isn't that what parents say? Because I said so. If the children understood more, they'd probably fall into agreement a lot quicker. I want to tell you a story about the power of Buddha. One day, a warrior approached him as he was sitting and praying. And the warrior said, "Move," and held up his sword. And Buddha sat there and said, "I am meditating. I cannot move." And the warrior said, "Move!" And the Buddha said, "I cannot move. I am in my meditation." And the warrior said, "Do you know I could run you right through with this sword?" And the Buddha said, "Did you know I could let you?" That's power. Well, as you go through this week and you're facing your Pharisees and you're learning to think about the laws that we live in, understand there is a core law, and that is the law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping, giving and receiving. Also know another thing, in Unity we have what we call the 12 spiritual faculties, and one of those is power. And the center of that faculty in our body is the throat. Because when we take our words, our ideas, and shape those ideas into words and speak them, there is great power in the spoken word. Power. Words can hurt. Words can heal. So you have a great day. I apologize for the interruptions today. I'm just doing my best. In the meantime, you have a bright, beautiful, better than average day. Bye-bye.